So I know I probably should have got around to this sooner, but for all my Broadway fans out there, don't be mad at me. I finally got around to watching Wicked with my fiance, particularly Wicked Part 2. Please enjoy the cat. But with our mythopoetic diagrams, specifically the parabolic parable, something during the movie really caught my eye where you can start to see the character foil or the mere symmetry between Elphaba and Glinda, and also just in the realm of Oz being the good and the wicked being, well, the wicked. And what's really interesting about this is in quadratics, which we form not parables, but parabolas from, you actually can find the symmetry point of these two zeros at the vertex by foiling out your equations. And I feel like we can see those mere character reflections between Elphaba and Glinda. And not only this, but I was able to describe some of the things that were going to happen in the movie. And yes, we are working off source material with the original Wizard of Oz, but I was able to describe things that were going to happen, such as Fiyero becoming the Scarecrow, and I was even finishing sentences as "there's no place like home," or "we need somebody to be wicked," which is another example of that character foil, the mere symmetry between the two, because I was able to use the structure of mythopoetic diagrams, not necessarily written out yet, but in my head to be able to describe the function of this parable. So this is just meaning in motion. This is the theory at work of mythopoetic diagrams and how they help you not only create and visualize understanding, but start to map it and analyze it just like mathematics as well. I just want you guys to know I barely slept last night, and I'm recording this before I've had my coffee because more connections between mythopoetic diagrams and Wicked just keep coming to me. Because not only can we see the axis of symmetry, or I call it the axis of irony because it's a mirror image, play out in the Wicked logo. That's why one half is pink and the other half is green. And we've already discussed the foil or the character foils, foils for the parable and foiling the parabola like you would in quadratics to find that axis of symmetry and to find the inflection points, the zeros, or critical points I should say, where we see these relations play out. But we can also see how their narrative arcs, Glinda's and Elphaba's, take similar paths, just inverted. Because as one rises, the other one must fall. And as Glinda starts from this place of being so popular, Elphaba starts at the very bottom, having almost nothing, being hated by even her own father. But as Glinda begins to fall, Elphaba begins to rise. And we can zoom out and see the entire story through this arc, where we start from a high place of them going to the school and becoming friends, falling to the bottom apex, the relative minima, and falling out, and then having their triumphant storyline ending where Elphaba escapes and Glinda takes over Oz. But we can see that not only on the large scale, but the small scale, these relations even play out and may form different graphs at different levels of the narrative. And not only this, but the zeros of the function represent almost perfectly where these characters and their relations are almost equal, because we can see throughout the movie that Elphaba and Glinda each have something that the other one wants. So when we're finding this perfect symmetry across what I call the transverse axis, because it carries all the meaning, we can see when the moral of the story has basically arisen for both characters and they're at the same point in their narrative arc. Now, we can also zoom out and see this for the larger storyline, but on a character level, this represents the archetype of those characters much more clearly. And one more group of characters I want to talk about, not solitary group, but dual group, is the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. Now, I saw the part or the bit with the Cowardly Lion, and that really had not too much meat on the bone for me. But when I saw what happened with the Tin Man, who was in love with in love with Glinda, right? And Elphaba's sister became jealous and tried to find the spell that would make him love her. And she performed the spell that started to shrink his heart, and Elphaba had to find a spell that would save him without him dying, and he was able to live without a heart. Now, yes, did I follow the path of this linear logic function? Yes, I did, because it was setting up the events almost in chronological but logical order. Well, logical by time. But if you take this and you plot this on a parabolic parable as well, you can find almost the archetype for another character, someone who loved Elphaba that goes through the same fate. And wouldn't you know, the lead up to this could almost be plotted on a tangent line to the parabolic parable, because this was Fiyero. And the first time I really had the inkling that Fiyero was going to become the Scarecrow was when I saw that Bach got turned into the Tin Man. But there's even a point where Glinda asked Fiyero, "Have you misplaced your mind?" And when Elphaba's trying to save Fiyero, she says, "I wish he would never feel pain." And these are all things that can be plotted on the parabolic parable or a line tangent to it that lead up to that mere character symmetry. So when I said I was able to predict a lot of things that were going to happen in the movie, or a lot of things that were going to be said, I promise I wasn't just showing off, but this is the work of analysis and action. If you start to use mythopoetic diagrams, not only can you organize your ideas more cleanly and make predictions about the movies you're watching and impress all your friends, but you can also start to analyze them just like a mathematician would. And it will make narratives and linguistic symmetries all much more beautiful and apparent, because language must follow the same logic and laws of the universe.